What is the deal, peoples? Y'all all right? Y'all doing good? We are back. We are back. Let me get my Facebook people up online here. Hang on.
Happy Wednesday,
Gansey's
everybody.
back,
Happy Wednesday.
back again. Hump day. Shady's back.
There we are. Privacy. Ready. Kabam.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Now Facebook should be online. What's up, everybody? If you are in the proper Washington State area, please share this live. If you are on the dry side or the non-commie side of Washington State, share it even more. And if you are in the really rural
Anywhere else?
section from Moses Lake to Chelan, definitely share this one. And if you are in Wenatchee, I'm surprised you're not already shared it. Okay, because that's angering. That's angering. So I'm going
And
to
if you're
take a
everywhere
little.
else, please feel
Yeah,
free to share as well.
please, exactly. Regardless of where you are, share. But we need local people on this one because it affects you. Um, I did send this video to the guys, and we are going to lead off with it. And what I would love to see is your guys' opinion about what you're going to see. Okay, I will give you just a little bit of information about the background of what it is. This is a meeting with the mayor and a couple of other of his what's the best way to say this, minions. I'm going to say minions. I'm going to call them minions.
Minion
um
sounds good.
yeah, minions I think that's the best way to state it. And he is having a, I guess he considered it a vote, to see who keeps their district.
Hmm.
And he has his specific kinds of people that he wants in certain districts because they have, and we'll get into this later, um, certain deals that they make with entities, both housing and others, that benefit both him and the friends that he has. And so, what you're going to see is his approach to deciding who gets what district. They've recently redistricted Washington, I mean Wenatchee, and he was in charge of all of that, and he kind of made a decision to put who he wants to put over each district. Now, I don't know how exactly he managed to do this, but just when you see it,
Mm.
you let me know if it looks weird. Um, the lady over here, can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
This lady here, okay, is the culprit. That's his crony right there. Okay, keep that in mind. That's his crony, and he is the guy, right? Not in the white, off the screen here. That's the mayor. Okay, the black shirt and dark pants. So listen, please, and you tell me if it seems kosher what is being done, and if you catch on to something that I saw, you let me know, and we'll talk about it. So here you go.
Okay, so we did meet with Steve Smith and I and council member Esparza, Mayor Pro Tem, met last week and went over sort of a process for how we would do this. Obviously, state law is going to dictate most of what we're doing. So I think the first thing, just out of process, is you all have a copy of the maps, and I'm not going to ask you to confirm, but I'm just going to we are working under a map that says all of you are living in the districts in which this map shows you. And if that's not the case, then you need to let us know, because we certainly can't allocate districts unless you're living where we think you're living. So that being said, obviously, Councilmember Kulas is the only person living in District 5. So I think it's probably pretty simple to put Mark in District 5 since that's where he lives. And he's the only one there. And I'll misspell your names. And Mark, you're a 2019 up?
Yes.
Okay. So that one seems pretty simple. I think if you go to District 2, Councilmember Bailey is the one with the longest term. He's up in 2021. Mike and Lyle are up in 2019. So under the RCW, since you have the longest term, you are the one that gets to stay in District 2.
I hope you all caught that. Now, I'm I'm going to pause. This is not the portion, but I had to pause it there for two reasons. Many may not know about this tenureship thing, and you want to know why it is that government officials just stay in position for till they die and become fossils. They many of them, if not all, have a tenured maintenance of position. So unless you die, no one else gets to do it. So if you've been there for forever, you stay there for forever.
Like the Supreme Court.
Yeah. And so it's kind of to me, I don't think that's remotely even reasonable, like at all. I don't see how that makes any sense. But I'm not in government, and obviously government doesn't make sense. So maybe one of you on the screen can tell me if that makes any sense to anyone, or that should be the case at all.
Well, that's the problem with the administrative state in the first place, right? Is they get to stay for however long they want. And the same thing with, like, look at what's happening with Mitch McConnell, right? The dude's been in there for 17 years, and now there are 3 people fighting for his seat, right? And they're still older, like they're 60s and 70s, and they're fighting because it's my turn, right? It's not because who's probably the best one there. It's because I've been there longer.
Right.
That's how they treat Congress and any of these government seats of power. It's whoever's been there longer, right? It's my tenure. It's my turn.
And we've discussed this many times about, term limits, and, the longer these people are in office, the more power hungry they become, because it almost gets to a point to where doing something like this means they're untouchable. When you have tenure like this, these guys can do anything they want without any accountability, because they don't have to worry about getting reelected. So they can just come up with any rule they want, and the people can do nothing about it. So yeah, that's a huge problem right there. The goal is for a lot of these politicians is to get reelected. Most of them, they want to get reelected. So if there is no end state to their term, like I said, who's to hold them accountable for anything when they can just run amok?
Hey, Marlon.
Right.
Question, Marlon. Question for you. Do these particular local politicians, are they also beholden to lobbyists as well?
Yeah, we'll get to. We'll get to all of that in a. I'm glad you asked that, because when I tell you what took place here, bro. Okay, look. I'm not one for marches and protests and all that stuff, but maybe like TPing a house with gasoline covered toilet paper, I might be okay with. Okay.
Maybe.
I love that. That's
my
speed right there.
I might be okay with TPing your house with gasoline covered toilet paper. I'm just saying, I'm not lighting it. I'm just want you to get the scent that it is covered in gas.
I light it.
Well, the only reason why I asked is because my mind instantly went to, hey, these people are paying us to be here, and so therefore, if we try and seek tenureship, it's like we'll get more money out of it. You just hold on to your britches there, cowboy. Okay.
You just
I'm moving ahead. All right, sorry.
Oh wait, no, but it's good. It's good. It's giving people something to salivate for. Okay, here we go. And mind you, look how old that guy is. Okay, look, he's already on his deathbed, and he's getting more time.
He's over there dodging coffins.
You playing Tetris with them coffins, buddy.
He's Neo with coffins. He's just like,
right.
I missed that one.
I was having this argument earlier today of how the entire boomer existence has done nothing but ruin everything, absolutely everything, and they won't let go. They will hold on to power until they absolutely die, like Mitch McConnell and Dianne Feinstein and all these other people. They will literally die in their seats before they give it up to the next generation. Absolutely. We're willing to take everybody with them too while they do it.
Exactly. And like I said, this is man. Okay, so here we go.
USA.
And you're at 2021. Right. All right, for district, and then sort of Lyle and Mike go over into La La Land. It's over here.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
So fake.
We're used to being there.
Yeah.
You get picked in the second round here.
So District 3 is more interesting because both Keith Huffaker and Ruth Esparza both have 2021 terms.
Listen,
So I don't know any other way to do this other than to flip a coin, and the winner gets District 3, and the loser ends up in La La Land with probably Linda. Linda, who's got a 2019 spot, really doesn't have a spot for her. So,
mind you, what he just said,
Mhm.
the best way to make this deciding is a coin toss.
A flip of the coin.
Okay? Just
Wait, what
Someone's
happened
watched
to
Batman too many times.
What-
Two-Face.
what happened to voting?
I don't know. I don't think that even matters at this point.
Yeah.
I
Who
mean,
cares
I
about
think you
that?
have let me see, 1, 2,
Yeah,
3,
voting.
4, 5, 6 people at the counter there, right? 6?
Yes. six.
Wouldn't it be wiser to say, hey, raise a hands?
Yeah.
No, he's going to toss a coin. Now, remember, he said he is going to toss a coin. Okay. That's all I want people to remember him saying.
how do you guys want to do it? I have a quarter.
I have a
Oh,
quarter.
Flip a coin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you want to
And
do this?
up. Did you hear that?
Flip a coin.
Okay, you heard it. You heard it, right? It was the girl that said it, right?
Yeah.
She said, flip a coin. Like she's Super Mario or something. Okay. All right.
It's Ruth, tails, it's Keith.
Perfect.
She
okay
says,
with that?
I'm
perfect.
okay with that.
Okay, I'm going to let it hit the ground.
Nobody saw it.
It is heads.
Him
saw
just
it?
saying it's heads. No one else. He didn't pick it up and show nobody. He just says it's heads.
It's heads.
You can tell they ain't
quarter.
gonna do it.
And look, here is your quarter. Watch.
Tails, it's Keith.
Perfect.
You okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, I'm going to let it hit the ground. It is heads.
Something's throwing
Here's
me
your
off right
quarter. So heads is Ruth.
now. My conspiracy theory spidey senses are tingling right now. All right.
Okay. Go for it.
What if, to me, I don't know. This comes off as political theater, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a normal person, like, think about when we were kids or anytime we played sports or anytime there was some type of coin toss, right? What is the first thing you would do?
Everybody comes over to see.
Everybody's gonna look to see if this person's telling the truth. So what if all this was just planned? That's why they just sat back. I'm gonna call heads, and whatever I call it, it is gonna be you. All of them already
Might as
knew
well
the
roll
outcome.
dice.
All of them already knew the outcome of what's happening right now. So what if
Yeah.
all this was just theater?
Well,
I would actually have preferred if they rolled a d20 and just like rolling it for initiative, just like see if you get it.
now,
Does
now
the
here-
action happen?
Here's the backstory. Okay, here's the backstory. The person that was ousted, when he said, he said, I'm okay with that. Never got to see the results of it, was never offered the option to see. And there's no guarantee that the coin that they had was even a legit coin.
That's right.
Because what he said was, I have a quarter. Pulls it out, never shows anybody the quarter. Ask about heads or tails, and the very first person to pick was her. The only person to rejoice was her. And when he was done, he said, here is your coin back.
Mm.
Now,
Mhm.
if it was your coin, how are you giving something back that's yours? One,
Indeed.
Yeah.
and why are you giving them the coin if it was to decide a position?
Indeed. So how is this even legit?
We don't know that yet, but here's a bigger problem. I don't think it was legit, and I don't think anything Frank Kuntz ever did while he was mayor and still was ever legit. So a couple years ago, we had this new housing development that was going in. Now, there was an individual that went to proffer his building skills to build this facility.
Okay.
So he offered, I'm going to build it for this amount. And another person offered, this is what we're going to do for this amount. The other person that offered it knew Frank and has been friends with Frank. He had made a deal with the government to build it for a certain budget that the government would pay. Now, he not only did he have a certain budget in mind, he had to put a certain type of low-income housing in with it by and per regulation.
Section 8.
Yep, Section 8.
Mm.
So he comes back to the board saying that he couldn't do those particular housing units under certain rules and regulations of his building codes. This was his reasonings.
Mm.
So what he wanted was more funding to put in these locations. Now, mind you, he never did put in these locations. It turns out that they never really did get built at all. But he ended up making somewhere in the region of $1.5 to $2 million on top of what he was originally estimating.
Okay.
Now, mind you, nothing was built that was supposed to be built.
Right.
No one else got dibs on the building things. He just got it right off the top. Whatever deal he made, now they've never made any, and never told us what exactly he was done in the back door. So he got the bid, he got profit off of it, and never actually did anything. He went off. The whole thing was like, we just couldn't do it.
That was the friend of the mayor.
Right. We just could not build a low-income housing, and it's just the way it is. And now these apartments are one of the, the nice ones.
Okay.
So now you can only put certain kinds of people in there. So now he's making also money off of rent. So he owns the apartments.
Of course.
The government paid him to do it because he guaranteed low income, never got the low income input, and he still went away with the money.
That's
what
fraud.
was that about lobbying again?
that's absolutely fraud.
Yeah, it is.
Well, it should be fraud, but when you're rubbing elbows with the right people, as we all have seen many, many times before, you get away with stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, we know that because the justice system is not fair or equal to anybody. You look at what happened to the Proud Boys and their sentencing, right? Enrique Tarrio got 30 years.
Yeah, and so are his apartments high, upper high,
mid to high, yeah, mid to high, no low incomes.
Wow.
Now, mind you, there is supposed to be a implementation where you have to have a certain amount of low income housing in the state in order to get certain types of funding.
Right.
Now, where I live, they seem to like to keep the low income housing in a certain sector of Wenatchee. And as we call it the South End, right? The South End of Wenatchee. Yeah. And what they've been trying to do, though, is put them in better locations, keep them well, but keep them in a, reasonable location so people can actually go to work and still be able to afford rent. That was the plan. He got low income location pricing with high income payout and didn't have to put anything low income in there.
Wow.
It was an amazing deal.
So how much did he get?
I think he made out with somewhere in the region of $2 million profit.
That's pocketed. $2 million.
Now I don't know. Now here's what I don't know is if that $2 million stayed with him or got paid back in some way, shape, or form to Kuntz.
They didn't get paid back.
So I have no doubt that some of that money went back to the mayor for what transpired. Now, the reason I know 100% that something behind someone has an echo. You hear it? Or is it just me?
No, it's there.
I hear it.
Okay. The reason I know that things like this are taking place at a proficient level is because it took place with me. When I was trying to build my gym, and this is how I know they have ins with people in town here, because they're either friends or they paid them. I was driving around town and I saw this facility that was run down, broken down. And I called about it and I was told, hey, yeah, it's for rent and stuff. And the land is, but you're going to have to tear down the facilities on there. We don't want any more mechanic shops on there. It's an eyesore. We need to tear it down. So I went in, I got my plans made for this building. I went and I commissioned a guy to get the building torn down, a Hispanic local guy. and he charged me a certain amount for it, and it was a very fair amount. I think somewhere in the region of $12K just to tear it down.
Mhm.
He goes in, we court. Now, mind you, I have to go through the city. They have to have every report in before he
course.
starts tearing down. The city has to okay everything about this building, the contractor and me, before he gets started.
Right.
They have to. I get the information from them. I get the okay. I have all my paperwork in order. They said the guy's good to go. They checked his licensing. You're good to go.
Right.
Jose starts to tear down the building. By day 2, another guy shows up on the compound after he has it corded off and wants to know why he's tearing down this building. Come to find out, that particular guy is a contractor in town here that was friends with the guy that owned the building before. And in his mind, he should have gotten the contract to tear down the building.
Of course.
He got mad. He got mad that I didn't hire him. Now, mind you, the Hispanic guy used to work for him.
Oh, personal interest.
Okay,
Got
so
it.
what? Right. So now he goes to the L&I office and calls one of the top dogs in the L&I office to send them down there to investigate the building. Now, the building had asbestos, and the city already knew it had asbestos.
Right.
They knew that because they had to issue me the okay to break down the building.
To tear it down in the first place. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
And they okayed my guy to do it. All right. I get a phone call from my guy. He says, Mr. Brown, they have some people down here that are giving me problems and I don't feel safe. I'm going to leave. And I want you to know that they threaten me with giving me fines if I don't stop tearing down the building. I head down there and I'm like, why are you stopping my guy from tearing down the building? Oh, we had a complaint that this was an asbestos-ridden place and we need to have an inspection. I said, they already had the inspection and I have the okay paperwork right here. Well, this is different. And she hangs up the phone and she goes and does her inspection, comes back with 0 results. Okay, there's no violations, obviously, because you're already okayed it.
You already cleared it. Yeah.
This is what she says to me. But you can no longer use that guy.
Why?
You have to use the guy we approve to tear that building down.
But you privately hired Jose.
That's
Yes,
corruption. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
That's
I did.
absolute corruption.
Now, the
and
guy that they want
monopolistic.
me to use is what they considered asbestos trained. Now, my guy had already torn down most of the asbestos. Okay, and already got rid of it. I had already invested $8K. The guy that they wanted me to do had another $20K he was going to charge me to do the rest of it.
Wow.
My guy already did a third
Yeah.
of the breakdown, and I couldn't do anything about it because I couldn't touch the land. And because of that, it went under because the money I had allocated to finish off the building now had to get sunk into tearing down to somebody else. And I still owe that person. No violations, nothing wrong with the paperwork. They just want me to use someone else. So I know for a fact that they do this. So I have
You
no
should
doubt.
sue them for damages because that's exactly what it is.
Now, here's the problem. I went back later. This is also on Kuntz. I went back later to try and apply because this location is in that opportunity zone location.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I went back to apply for said opportunity loan. Guess what happened? Guess what happened?
Yeah. You got denied.
I got denied.
Yeah. Hey, so question, the guy they wanted you to hire, was it an older white gentleman?
No, it was a younger white. He was actually fairly nice. He was like,
Oh, okay. So
even he came to me, he's like, why
You
are
should've
they
just done that.
why are they asking me to do this for you? Like, he's like, wasn't the guy doing it? It's like, yeah, he was doing it. So he tried to help me as much as he could, but he had a certain parameter he had to work into because they brought him in under the pretext of asbestos being the reasoning, even though it was not listed as a problem on the land.
Yeah.
So let me see if I
You
can
could
get
take
this
them to
straight.
court for that because they already gave you approval to begin with and said they
it
already
would have
knew about
cost
the
more
problem.
money, but it would have cost more money to do that
Yeah.
for me.
Well,
I
no,
just didn't have it. I
it
used
wouldn't
it
have
all.
because you would have won because
No, I wouldn't.
of what they did.
No, I wouldn't. I'm telling you now, I wouldn't win. Because he
You ain't
also
gonna
had-
beat-
he
you
has
ain't
the
gonna win
judges in his
against-
pockets too. He
Yeah,
has the
you ain't
judges in
gonna
his
win
pockets.
against that. Heck no.
It would
They're
have been a
all
waste of my
working
time.
together, man.
It would have been a waste of my time.
They are working together.
I let it go. And the land is still there. The building is like 98% torn down. There's still one wall. The people that own the land tell me, if I ever wanted to go on back and do it, I can. But it's at this point, there's nothing I can do because either I have to wait till Kuntz leaves office, which will be the end of this term, and most of those judges die off, and the rest of his corrupt cronies leave as well. Or I do like I'm doing now and expose Mr. Kuntz for the hypocrite and the piece of crap he is.
I was gonna say if it was like one of these things where they replace the Mexican dude with a white dude, it's like, oh yeah, I'm glad the Democrats care about minorities.
Now I can see that. No, don't get me wrong. I have no doubt that now I know for a fact, and this is fact, the person that did the reporting that Jose used to work for is indeed a flaming racist. He is a racist.
Oh yeah.
Like even his ex-wife claims and tells me, no, for sure. This is part of the reason why I can no longer. He is a flaming racist.
That's okay. As a PR campaign, that's what you have to stick with. Is that the local government sided with a racist to remove a Mexican contractor because of his race,
and a black
and that
building.
scandal alone would be enough to sink his campaign in the next season.
Not in Washington State.
It should be.
This is blue.
Washington is blue.
This is blue.
Yeah, I know, but that's stink enough is enough for any Democrat.
I would have thought so, but not.
Here's the thing: it wouldn't work because it's a blue state. Because it doesn't matter what these Democrats do or say racist. This has been proven time and time again. They can come out and talk about. They could be dropping N bombs. They can call you this. They can call you a monkey. They can call you this, and they're still going to vote and keep their people in office. Okay. So it doesn't matter how racist it is because the Democrats don't care about that.
I know, but it also ties into look, it's the optics of the whole thing, right? Especially coming from a mayor during a re-election like that. Then you also, with the if you get an investigative reporter on this to look at the corruption allegations by this guy, what he did, which is corruption, which was to remove a legitimate contractor off of a job because he disliked them, and he used City Hall to do it. As a racist, that's even worse. On top of that, like all that story right there is enough of a stink to get anybody messed up. It doesn't have to be fully workable. It's just enough to get the stink out there. That's all it needs to be.
You got way too much faith,
man.
You got way too much faith.
I'm just saying.
I have
it's
zero
an avenue
faith.
approach for an attack. That's it.
I don't think it's about winning or losing. I think it's mainly about like Koya said, it's about the appearance, the perception of it. Like especially if this is a blue state,
that's all it needs.
And we're talking and if we're talking about woke white liberal types. Yes, I understand, but
all you need is a little bit of stink. That's it.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Again, doesn't matter. The little bit of stink came out when Joe Biden ran for office. Guess who got in office? That little bit of stink. So you can put a little bit of stink on that mayor's campaign. It's not going to change the way people vote because people are comfortable with them.
I don't know. I mean, the black community right now is essentially going hard for Trump because of the stank of Biden.
I would, like I said, I would agree with you guys, except for what's happening in the governor race right now in Washington State. This man is running for governor in Washington State.
Okay.
This man is running for governor in Washington State. Two minorities, right? And they're behind every other white person running right now that has a D next to their name. Even this guy, crap, absolute crap, worthless. That is definitely not an R. He's a D. D, R, and R, and they have no polling here in Washington State. Washington State is so filled with racist white liberals. It is ridiculous. If you go to Seattle right now or Tacoma, you would swear you are in not a third world country, but like a 10th world country. Anywhere from I-90 all the way to the end, almost to Snoqualmie Pass, are homeless encampments. And Jay Inslee does not give two craps about that. In fact, he invites more over. Mind you, he's also the same fool that wants to implement gasless cars by 2025.
Right.
I heard about that.
And he also wants to ban the sale of them in Washington State.
Stupid.
Yeah. So I would normally, on any other circumstance, I could say, yeah, maybe. I had intentions of running for mayor. Okay. And I had intentions of running for governor. After a few conversations with some people, I realized it would be a losing effort. Because no matter what you do, the Democrats have such a strong hold on Washington State. It's almost as bad as New York or DC. Almost as bad as Cali, but it's still behind Oregon. Oregon's, I think people may not realize, but Oregon is like the top notch of dog doo-doo in the states in America. Oregon, if you want to find out where all your waste goes, it's Oregon. Every time you flush your toilet, it ends up in the mayor's office in Oregon. Every time.
I can see that.
And so Seattle's running competition with both Oregon and California. So when you have that much corruption from the top down, it is very, very, very rare. Heck, I encountered it with my kid and the government system here and the judge system here. I encountered a judge that was like blatantly talking to my kid a certain way because of this. Do I think it's an entire system? No, it's not the system. It's the people.
Yeah.
The blue people are the problem, not the system. The laws are still the laws. Their implementation of the laws is the problem. And I think that's why people it's not the systematic racism. It's individuals within the system that act out their pleasure on people. And so there is no way for me to fight this over here on my own. It's just not possible. Now, this podcast might be the only thing that might help, but I don't know exactly how that's going to help.
You just got to get the word out. One of the things I find interesting about that, you're right, it's the people, because another blue Democrat locked up the only black guy in Georgia in the racketeering charge with Trump. It was the Blacks for Trump, and the only black guy is the one that got remanded to bail. He got remanded to custody because of it.
But the thing with politicians like the ones in Washington are the fact that a lot of those people, and I'm not attacking boomers, but a lot of those people are boomers. Boomers grew up at a different time. So, and it's no matter what they say, it's hard to transition to, how we grew up. They grew up back then where they looked at black people a certain way, where they had segregation, they had Jim Crow, they had all these crazy laws in place. So you don't just wake up one day and say, I'm a different man since a law has passed. No, they break the laws all the time. And that mindset that they grew up with, the majority of their younger life, it's the same mindset they go into as old people. So no matter what they say, no matter how much they smile, they still have that mindset of, I'm not going to forget the 40 years I grew up around people like that. And it's never going to change until we get them out of office. That's why we keep talking about term limits. We got to get these old people out of office, start getting some new young blood in there, mainly Gen X, millennials, getting in there. And that's when you'll start seeing real change. But all these boomers or these freaking ancients from, the Egyptian times that are still in office, they're not going to change, man. They put on a good show. But
it's so stupid because these people have been around since Reagan, like legitimately Reagan,
before Reagan,
even before Reagan in some cases. Like that's how long they've been in office and they won't leave.
They refuse.
How is it that you made that your entire life? Like especially Joe Biden, for instance, like 40, 50 years in office.
Money.
He hasn't done anything else, but he's worth millions.
Guess how old Jay Inslee is?
80,
60,
72.
Jesus. He was born when
this is his third term.
Third.
He could seek a fourth, but he's deciding not to.
And the question's always asked, why? Why do these people, when your average American, and we've talked about this before, your average American at 60-something years old doesn't really qualify to have a job anymore unless they can be functional during the job. Or when you're a certain age, you're not allowed to drive anymore. They take your driver's license. These old freaking mummies can't even think for themselves. They can't even make a decision. They don't take any type of cognitive test. So they're up here making decisions that are way more advanced than their mindset. And they're making decisions on us. But their mind's still back on freaking plantations and stuff. Back when Kunta Kinte was shot calling and big balling, that's where their mind is still at. They haven't advanced in that mindset, man. So they're always going to make decisions based off how they was raised, how they grew up, what they know.
These people were still alive or were in their like teens, 20s, whatever, when civil rights was happening.
Thank you.
Like that, people don't realize that they were around when there was still segregation.
Exactly. And these are some of the people that Marlon's
insane.
talking about are some of the people that voted against segregation.
Right?
They voted against it.
Look, and it's not even that the citizens here don't complain. They do complain. Trust me, we protest. When they had this whole jibbity jab crap going on, where they were forcing children to take it, and they would have it opposite. They had a setup opposite my house. They had the entire parking lot of this place set up for the jibbity jab, and they showed up in droves to come and get their stick. And people came out protesting it, did nothing. Protested at the schools, did nothing. The school wants to pass all kinds of transgender nonsense here, same thing. So it's not even, like I said, this is why it's not even, and this is why I think that majority of the time that Frank Kuntz has been in office, I don't think he's actually won any of the elections. It's the same thing with the mayor in Leavenworth, because he's also another disgusting, nasty racist himself. If I ever, like, that man, he is the worst of the worst. He's also the one that brought Krampus into Leavenworth for the Christmas celebration. He took Santa Claus out one year and brought in the Krampus demon thing and had it walking through town and all kinds of things with kids. That was him. That was him. But he's also pro BLM, but he actually hates black people that don't promote BLM. So I went down to his office one day to talk to him, and I had on my Patriot red shirt on and my 2A hat, and he refused to see me.
Of course.
He refused to have an audience with me.
Yeah.
Now people like that, if that's the kind of people you have in your leadership, you're not going to get an audience with them, and you're not going to be able to get them out, especially if they have the market cornered on the corruption side of the voting.
That's right.
And I understand that the local system is there, and you can start there to get change. But at this point, it's gone so far. The rot has left the head and is almost to the tail now. The whole fish is gone. And the only thing we can do is toss the whole fish out. Go get new fish.
And we keep saying here on the Savage Patriots, we need to bring back the old ways of handling stuff like this. And if you started seeing politicians that are corrupt like that, I mean, corrupt to the core, not just making a bad decision. I'm talking about pure, unadulterated corruption. We need to go back to tar and feather, man. Like, people, we need to bring it back. We need to bring stuff like that back, because
shaming.
What it does, it holds them accountable. Right now, they think they're untouchable. They have security and Secret Service, and they got guns, and no one can get near them, and they won't talk to their citizens. They won't do anything because they feel that we're beneath them.
We need to do floggings in the public square. That's what we should do.
They feel as if they're royalty. So this is why you can't get an audience with these people. Back in the early days of our country, the White House was open. If you had a grievance, you can walk right into the White House and talk to the president of the United States. You can't even get near that man no more. So these politicians don't hear the people. They hear their constituents. Their constituents can tell them anything they want about the grievances of the people. They're not hearing it directly from citizens in most times.
Now, we have a local mayor race coming up, right? Because Kuntz is not eligible for another term, and he's not running for it, even if he was. And there are about 4 people running right now, and the true tell would be to see who comes out on top. Now, there are 2 people in particular that would be great if they got in, and another few that if they got in would just be more of the same. Now, my litmus test right now is seeing how many of one type of person is being promoted around town. And right now, it's not the 2 that were cronies with Kuntz. They have almost no traction on the grassroots level. Now, if any one of them makes it into government and takes the mantle, I know for a fact that they did not win. And trust and believe me, if it comes down to that, anybody that brings a lawsuit against it, I'm going to promote it. Because I look around town and I don't see any people. Like, I mean, there's one person in particular. He has signs everywhere. Businesses, homes, on the streets are littered with this particular person. The next one down is also someone that's not cronies with the old regime. So if the people that are cronies with them win this election, it's rigged. I'll be the first to tell you that it is a completely rigged system, and there's no safety even on the local level from anybody.
Once and that's a good point, because once they destroy the we're done. We're done in that case, because that's where the grassroots starts. It always starts at the local level. You have to start making changes down at the city council, the mayor. Those where you start making
School
changes.
district, yeah.
School districts. And if it gets to the point to where you can't even change that, finito. We are done.
That's the arguments being made right now. We see what's going on in Georgia with them saying that them charging the Cop City protesters, they keep calling them protesters, right? The people that were pulling people out of cars, flipping them over and lighting them on fire and shooting at cops and throwing fireworks at them are protesters. But the people at Gen 6 are insurrectionists who knocked over a couple of barricades.
Go figure.
So you can burn down a federal courthouse, you can light a police car on fire and only get 4 years, but God forbid you knock over a barrier, or not even be at January 6th. Just say, hey, congratulations for doing a thing, and get 20 years.
22 years for a night.
22 years for that. And that's absolutely ridiculous. At this point, people are going to look at cops are going to look at the justice system and say, you have no authority here. You're a joke. You're a dude in a clown suit. You went to Spirit Halloween and got a cop suit. That's how much authority you have now. People are just going to be like, this is our neighborhood. We'll take care of ourselves. You can F off somewhere else.
Yeah, I want to take up the you said something, and the first thing that came to mind is the Lord of the Rings. You have no power here. And all possessed and stuff.
And the problem is, again, we've said it on this show before. We need to get back to constitutional law and order. This maritime stuff is the problem, because all they just keep adding laws and loopholes in the laws, and this person can't be, and this person can't be charged. The Constitution needs to be the law of the land, period. Supreme law. Under the Constitution, every single person from President of the United States all the way down to Joe Schmo living in Arkansas somewhere fall under that law. Right now, we work under the color of law, what the rules for thee, not for me. So what you can do, these people won't be held accountable for. So if you went out there and you was a corrupt businessman, stealing money from people, corruption, you're getting money, backhands and all this stuff, you'd be standing in front of a judge ready to go to jail. But these politicians like this mayor can do the same exact thing, just at a different level. Yeah. And no one holds them accountable. So our country just needs to say, pull out that Constitution, teach your kids the Constitution, follow the Constitution, and you wouldn't see half of this stuff. You wouldn't see it. But the Constitution only applies when they want it to apply.
Right. It's partisan lawfare. That's the situation we're in. It's like anybody that disagrees we're not in a civil war is absolutely insane at this point. Like you cannot tell me all the things that have happened over the last 5 years, I would say, or even before then, like when Trump got into office. From that point on, we've been in some sort of civil conflict up to a civil war. Is where we've been at. Anybody else that disagrees that it is not paying attention, especially with what's happening with the White House now, and then Donald Trump being in. They're going after their political opponent. This is something that happens in any other country with despotic dictators, right? They were calling Donald Trump a dictator because this is exactly what he would do, right? But the guy that they're saying wasn't going to do that is doing that. The guy that also said that was going to start World War III
is starting
didn't
World
do
War
that, and the guy that said, "Hey, he will keep us safe," is getting us to World War III. So, what
Up
are we
is
supposed to
down.
do with that?
Up is down and down is up. See, Monica, I would disagree with that. Here's why: Elijah Cummings, Maxine Waters,
Barack Obama,
Barack Obama. Nearly every black politician is Democrat. There are a select few now that are getting in that are Republican. But a majority of them run Democrat counties, run Democrat cities, and run Democrat states. And none of them, Beetlejuice was black. and she was never held accountable for nearly, let me see, from the year 2019 to 2020, the 700 deaths. From the year 2015 to 2019, almost 5,000 deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's
And
even
that's
talking
not
about
from
Como, too.
that's not cops killing people. That's in her state of people killing, homicides, and being let go and regurgitating the same nonsense over and over. She was
That's
never
right.
held accountable at all for her actions or for her policies. So I would
Ma-
normally say that might make sense, but I would say I put this caveat: if they have an R next to their name, they'll probably be held, and it wouldn't even be accountable. They would just be held in contempt.
That's right.
Maxine Waters should be held to the same standard
She should be stoned. Yes.
like she should be in jail too, because exactly for what they're trying to throw Donald Trump in jail for.
Inciting
That's right.
violence.
Inciting violence.
Yeah, I
I
was
know
gonna
for
say.
what they're throwing Enrique Tarrio and all those people in.
Yeah.
Because they were inciting violence, riots in America, and uprising. She said uprising. If that's not the seditious behavior, I don't know what is.
I mean,
AOC,
shouldn't Kamala Harris also be?
she
the
said
same
it too.
What is that other
No.
bald-headed one that looked like Charles Barkley?
I forget. Oh,
what's her name?
shoot.
You know which one I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
She
yeah.
said said the same thing. She looked like Shaquille O'Neal, looking like
Or
just
the
all
people that
bald.
were
just-
tearing down the barricades at the White House and forcing Donald Trump into the bunker. Like none of
Yeah.
those people are getting charged with sedition and getting 20 years.
Nope.
What about the people in Nashville?
Yeah.
You know, that stormed all those politicians
Or the cops.
that stormed the government building.
Yeah.
They got a slap
The-
on the wrist. They did the same exact thing that the
Yeah.
ones on Jan 6
The
did.
autonomous
Same
zones. Why hasn't anybody from those autonomous zones gotten sedition charges for literally taking over cities? Like we're talking
Right.
city blocks and federal courthouses, and they're not being charged with insurrection.
Right.
because they're not on the right. If those are right-leaning people, if those are Proud Boys out there doing that same thing, they would have been locking them all up right now.
No, they'd be dead. They'd be like that guy that freaking just got
Oh,
shot.
yeah, or that.
Ayanna Presley.
Ayanna Presley.
Yeah, that's her name. Shaquille O'Neal.
She said out loud, she said there should be more protests on the streets until something is done.
That's
We
right.
should see more violence. AOC said the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a marked difference between a Democrat calling for violence and a Republican saying protest.
Yeah.
And it has always been the case. You go back to pre-COVID and during COVID. If we protest, it's just peaceful. If the right protest, it's violent, even though it's completely violent when they protest, and it's not violent when
Fire by mostly peaceful.
look, and this nonsense that
building
keeps
is on
being
fire.
perpetuated that police got killed at the Capitol. No one got killed at the Capitol except for Ashley Babbitt,
Yep.
And that might be an if.
and that's an if, and that's in the air.
It's a big if.
Okay,
That's
in
still
the
one
air.
of those ones like maybe might have happened.
So it's as far as this guy goes, though, this Mr. Kuntz, I am glad that he will no longer be in power. But I know that his people are still there. And my only hope is that the next mayor fires every last one of them.
Yep.
I hope he revokes every last access they have. He goes through and does investigations into every bit of dark money that came in while Kuntz was in power. I hope he goes through and sues Mayor Kuntz and puts him behind bars for the rest of his natural life. I hope someone does that as well to Jay Inslee. I don't care if he's 72 years old. I hope he gets solitary confinement and never sees his grandchildren ever again. He deserves that much, and he should be executed what he should be. And I'm going to say it. Jay Inslee should be arrested and executed for what he has done for Washington State. He has been responsible for more detriment to the citizens of Washington State than anyone else. His policy, his behavior, his nonsensical mind you, this is the same fool is worried about gas and going natural and is driving everywhere in one of the most gas guzzling vehicles ever. The rules
Go
for the
figure.
flies everywhere, but is concerned about the green. I hope Jay Inslee sees this. I really do. Because I hope you hear me. I hope one day when you're out of office, someone brings you to trial and you are put in jail permanently or put on the execution list. You deserve to be there. For everything you've done to Washingtonians, you deserve this. And the same goes to Mayor Kuntz. For all the crap that you put this local people through, I hope you get placed completely and directly in prison. Because this has gone too far. Someone has to be made an example of.
That's right.
You people have run the entire country into the ground. And you've gotten away scot-free. You've made backdoor deals to destroy people's lives. Meanwhile, you're the same one going to every other state to take your mask off when telling everybody they should stay home.
That's right.
This is why you should be put in prison, if not executed. This is why. You're responsible for people's deaths. That's you.
Like, Como's not getting anything after.
And he should be top of the list.
He was responsible for killing.
Yeah, and that goes for every single one of these corrupt. From the local level all the way up to the federal level.
It's treason.
Yep, you get the right people in office and they start investigating these people and they find anything that was done that was wrong in there, like Marlon said, prison. Or, you go to the gulag.
Let me explain why I say this. Just like within New York, Cuomo is responsible for the deaths of scores of elderly.
Yeah,
because he put knowingly
Mm-hmm.
COVID people in with the elderly and did exactly what was the complete opposite that was needed for them. Many people forget this. He was one of the main culprits that killed old people and didn't have a problem with it.
That's right.
Did the same thing happen here in Washington State, but it got overlooked because of how big it was in New York. Over
in
here,
Michigan too.
They have
the
scores of homeless people on the street right now in Washington State, just like in California, right? Where they have hot spots now where you can go and see how much poop is on the floor outside. It's the same exact thing in Washington State. And if you're going to look by proxy, if you have homeless people, now mind you, this is also where the autonomous zone got set up, where people died there. 2 young men actually got killed in that autonomous zone in Washington State, and not a single person was held responsible for that. Not one. So yeah, he is a murderer. I will say it on camera. Jay Inslee, by proxy, is a murderer and should be held to account, put in prison, if not in the gulag for life. Period.
I agree.
I'm not pulling that back because it's factual. I can show you how many people you've helped kill. It is that dangerous. Your policies have put people's lives in danger. And then if the instant you start messing with my life, you should be put in prison. That's akin to murder. But you get away because you got a D next to your name.
Yeah. So they're looking at 15,000 deaths in New York nursing homes based on their COVID policies.
There you go. That you know what, that would actually be considered genocide. In case people don't realize, that's genocide. There have been regimes hung for that kind of stuff. Dude, I hope people realize that. That is genocide. That is the textbook definition of genocide.
Yeah.
It's euthanasia.
Well, I mean, you could just, text something and get 20 years. So
yeah, there you go.
I mean, what's a few dead people next to a text congratulating somebody on Jan 6?
Thank you very much. That's how upside down we've become.
Right.
And to Bro's point, go back to the Constitution. Go right back to it and stop with this mumbo jumbo nonsense of all these little caveats they put on stuff.
Yeah.
Now, the only people that can change that is us, not laws, not voting. We have to go back to Tea Party level. We have to. There is no other option at this point, people. We cannot depend on this. Now, this is the thing. They're calling a new indictment on Trump because of a voting machine tampering. I thought the election was safe.
Yep.
It's safe and secure, right?
I thought it was safe. Now it's not safe. So you're telling me that it is possible to tamper with it? So that means you should reinstate every statement I have ever made about it not being safe. But now it's okay to say it if it's against Donald Trump.
Yep.
You guys are man.
You know what they rely on? They were relying on the memory of the average citizen, right? People like us, we know what they said, that it's safe and secure. We understand. We know that. A lot of Democrats will say it's safe and secure. But now that they're regurgitating that the voting machines were tampered with, now Democrats are going to go back and say, oh, it's not a safe and secure election. So this is going to gear up to 2024 since this is coming out. Now you're going to have the leftists talking about, well, we can't do voting machines anymore. Everything has to be mail-in ballots. It's all leading up to corruption. Everything. The only reason they're saying it was safe and secure before is because they got their guy in office, so they can't come back and say it wasn't. So now that we're past that, we're stepping into a new era, a new election. Now they're going to say it wasn't safe and secure, and we can't have this happen again. So now we're going into mail-in ballots, and they're going to shut down all these voting machines and force every citizen to mail in their ballot, because they know if the man doesn't get indicted or or go to jail, they know he's going to win. And this is their last this is their last breath of air. This is it.
Wasn't me this time.
Yeah,
okay, so here's the funny thing.
I'm sorry.
So Jill Biden
like
just got COVID. And they released that to the world, and it's like, hey, Joe Biden got COVID. And it's like, and that matters to me. Why? And it's like, because they're setting up the narrative, because they got the new vaccine coming out.
Yeah, but here's my point. Didn't she get the first one?
Yeah.
She got two.
So far the track record is I shouldn't take it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I don't know if it's Joe Biden or Alice Cooper. I don't know who it is.
I think it's Alice Cooper.
Yeah, it's Alice Cooper.
Like, it's one of those things that are like, they're setting up everything possible in order to
bring it back,
subvert the election.
I'm batting 100 right now. Okay. I said this 2.5 years ago that it will not be a 2024. Y'all can go back and listen to Too Strong. I've been saying this for 2 years. We ain't gonna have 2024 elections.
And and I'm saying the same thing. The more you say it, I'm like, man, he's right. But Roseanne came out and said the same thing.
And she goes viral. Come on, man.
Yeah, and she goes viral. And she's like, there's not going to be a 2024 election. There's a lot more people coming out and saying this because they're starting to see.
I think
patterns.
most people believe it, and
they're starting to see patterns in how these Democrats are operating. They're going to try to crash the economy. Now it's climate change. They're displacing citizens. Now they're talking about Jill Biden has COVID, which I don't know why anyone would even care.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is just another scare tactic. So when election time comes around, they're going to be like, "Oh, COVID's back!" Like, and we're going to go back to mail-in ballots, and they're going to try to steal another election.
Their last ditch effort's going to be World War III.
Oh, that's
and this is the thing. This is the cost of being right, and I don't want to be right, and that's the problem.
I do want to be right.
I don't want to be right because World War III is no win for anybody. But they would rather let this world burn than give up power.
Okay, here's a problem with World War III happening. Okay, here's a problem with World War III happening. We all know America would lose.
Yes.
Okay, we know that, right? Okay, good. Okay, especially the fact that now they've had a treaty signed with Russia and North Korea. I just want people to understand, if you're backing Biden to back Ukraine in order to pummel World War III, say bye now to America.
Did you see what the Russians are saying right now? Is that like if it comes to that, they're not going to be fighting in Europe. They said specifically from their propagandists, they're going to be launching nukes into the U.S. They're going to fight it on U.S. territory. They're not going to do it in Europe.
It makes sense.
It's not going to be like World War II, where like we were mostly unscathed. No, like if we start this fight, it's going to be on the homeland. It's not going to be in Europe or some far off land. So you like the people like Michael and I have been fighting these wars for the last 20 years in far off places. It's going to be home.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able
the first time. Won't be the first time. And I would say, and we've talked about it on this podcast before, you reap what you sow. America's been doing it to other countries for years.
It's
you
come
reap
back to roost.
exactly what you sow. So you want to attack this country, you want to go into this country and do this under the guise of democracy, it's always going to come back on you, man. So all you can do is tell Americans to prepare themselves if that's the worst case situation.
But here's the thing, though. Like if that happens, look at how many people are completely and totally inept and untrained
that's why they'll work. That's why they'll work this time.
They know it too.
Do you remember when Japan was trying that? Said, no, there'll be a gun behind every blade of grass. Don't do that. Don't do that. You don't want to go to. You don't want to take that war to America. That's stupid. Forget the military. Worry about the people. Since that day, since that statement, every gun law has been targeted towards the everyday citizen. Yeah. And if they've been showing you from day one that their whole plan is to destroy America as we know it, to hand it over to the world powers to create the one world government. That's what they need. And the only people standing in their way is you and me.
That's right. Yeah.
And they'll send their forces, and the American government will stand aside and let them do it because they have the wet potato doing everything and all of the bidding.
Yeah.
For people who love Joe Biden, I hope you are the first to leave.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna say it to your face. I hope they call you up. I
Well,
hope they do. I hope you're the first to go. You know why I hope you're the first to go? Because you don't want my children to thrive.
Yeah.
I can't want you to thrive if you want my children dead, because that's essentially what you want.
Yeah.
If you are inviting war to my soil because you want equality, I hope you get it too. I hope you get equality. I hope you get equals. I really do hope you get equals, because
there's
this
gonna
is
be a lot of
nonsense.
anti-feminists once
Oh,
World War III
man.
starts.
Oh, I didn't want to fight, but let the men go. No, you go first. You wanted this. Go
Hey,
for it.
equal rights, equal fights, right? Like
Yeah.
you're in
Saying,
this now too.
And this has been building up for years. This is why we have this thing called wokeism. This is why we have this thing called social justice. It's to dumb down the American population and to make men weak.
Mhm.
The weaker the men are, the less they'll put up a fight.
Mhm.
This is why they have to go after the guns. It has nothing to do with the safety of children. It has nothing to do with gun violence in America. This is to make our country weak for a situation like this. Will be easily taken over.
Peace. Yep.
But
Yep.
but these
It'll be easy on the coast.
these soft leftists, these weak beta males on the left don't see it that way. They don't see it, and until it hits the homeland, which I don't want it to happen, but if it happened, I wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't cry about it, because I was like, whatever happens, we opened ourselves up to that.
They'd make it to the Rockies and the Appalachians, and I think that's where the defense line would be. It's going to be in the hills, man. Because like they'll make it on the coast, because all those blue cities and all their like gun laws, they don't have the amount of rounds or ammunition and guns available, arms available for them to do it. Same thing with the coast on California and all the way up there. They don't have the guns.
That's why
Where
they'll
are all the
nuke the
guns?
mountains first.
They're in the center, in between the mountains.
That's where they'll nuke. I think they'll nuke there first.
Yeah.
Look,
That's what I would do.
The only thing I'm prepping for, if my departure is during World War III, then so be it. I'm prepping my kids for the departure too. I know that. I'm prepping myself for the after, because I'm not banking. I really am not banking on America surviving this. They have been working at this since the late 1800s, and they have finally caught up with what their plan should be now in this stupid regime called the Bidens. If they work their way through the lower courts, lower systems, which is where Biden started, by the way, and worked his way up, and they finally have somebody that they can move around like a little dumb mummy and walk him around and parade him, have him just stand there looking like a complete buffoon. He's a complete fool, worthless human being. His entire family is trash. No one in his family is worth a grain of salt. Everyone in his family is a pervert. Every last one of them go ahead and straight to hell. They ain't gonna come back from that. I'm not gonna trust them to try and look out for my well-being.
That's right.
At all. And their plan is to destroy America. And if I'm in America, then I'm going to. But here's the difference. I'm not trying to build my home here. I'm not trying to build my future here. If that's how it's going to end, that's how it's going to end. But I'm not ending here. Now, if you leftists want to take that road and head into your so-called community of acceptance, and then when it finally hits you upside the head and realize that you don't have a place among them either, wherever I am, I'm going to be laughing at you.
You're right.
Wherever I am, I'll be laughing.
That's
if you
interesting.
If you nuke the mountains, go ahead.
And it's interesting that you say that, because like Africa is right now saying that America and the West are all talking about human rights, while China and Russia are arming Africans with military strategies.
Thank you.
It's like, who are you going to side with, guys? Human rights, or the fact that you're teaching me how to defend myself in my country? I'm going to go with Russia and China.
And the problem is that we talked about, how if they did attack, they would attack the coastlines. People have to understand that this whole border crisis, the majority of those people coming across the border are military-aged men.
They're here.
They're moving those military-aged men within these inner states, the inland. So when stuff goes crazy, these guys are already there. They're waiting. They're in sleeper cells waiting for stuff to start popping, because us in the center think we're safe. Oh, they're not going to make it in. They're already here. That's the problem. Who's ever planning all this isn't dumb.
There's been
they are very, very smart people. They make it chaotic on the coast, and the center will think there's nothing going to hit us, and boom, it hits us.
Klapow.
And everything's chaotic. So it's always been their goal to break down America. Obama said it. It started before Obama, but he's the one that really started pushing, America, this weakness that we see in America right now.
Yeah.
And Biden's going to try to finish it out. But, God willing, it doesn't happen. That's all we can do.
Demise is coming. I know it's coming.
Don't give up your guns. Do not give your guns up, no matter
And
what.
raise your
No matter what.
kids.
Yeah, don't let the government do that.
Yeah.
Friday, we have that'll be Saturday is when Army Sam will be on the Rumble episode. What did we say we were doing Friday? I thought we had a range Friday.
No, we didn't have we only talked about today.
Yeah.
I could have sworn we said something.
We have our Saturday lined up. We just don't have Friday yet.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get you guys updated when it's updated. We don't know yet.
Well, I mean, you've got the Tucker interview with the guy that claims he had
that's
sexual
a good
relations
one.
with Obama.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hear me out. I think if we do that, we have to do that one on Rumble.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Mhm.
We can't talk about that stuff on
That ain't gonna. We're
on
gonna
the
definitely get up.
YouTube.
You know, it's gonna be
Never
really
good.
funny if it comes out that Big Mike
Is a man.
Big Mike, is a man. It's like it's going to be one of those things of like we were all right, we all knew it. Is like Obama's gay. It's like so what? Well, then that means were we right about Big Mike? It's like probably.
Look, I've said
We
this
are
on
right.
record before. I've said this on record before.
We're right.
They are normalizing the trans movement so that when he does come out and say he is, people will be like, so stunning, so brave, and it must have took
Beautiful.
so much energy to stay quiet this long, and they'll hail
forget
him as
about
a
lying
king.
to the American people the entire time.
They'll,
Sure.
No, they'll think of it as hailing, more power to you because you've stayed silent for so long, and these bigots, they've been oppressing you and made you act like something that you're
Right.
not. And then they're going to say, see, kids, this is why it's good to live your truth. You could end
There
up
it is.
being oppressed like Michael did his whole life and have to live something that you're not. Watch it. Hey, I'm saying.
And we all know it's true. I mean, Joan Rivers,
She said it.
she said
Yeah,
it. She said it. And she wasn't kidding. She wasn't acting. She was very nonchalant about it. We all know.
And then she died.
It's okay. And then she died.
Yeah.
I am living in Washington State, and I've been here for 20 plus years. I have been here 22 years. Yep,
What was
20
that
years.
question? What,
Yeah.
yeah. What was the purpose?
Just
of it?
asking about Washington. I guess. Yeah.
I don't live in DC, but I have an opinion about DC too.
Yeah, I hate that the Clintons are from Arkansas.
Yeah.
Freaking.
No, they were raised in a lab. They're lizard people.
I
I don't know
am.
what they are.
I now, mind you, I've been here 20 plus years, but I only got into the political side of things and woke up probably when I was like 8 years in.
Mm.
And so by then, a whole lot, like in that 8 years, from the time I got here in 2000, 2001, it was amazing here. Like it was beautiful here. And in 8 years, it didn't even decline. It just went off a cliff and just went straight down to the bottom. It just dropped.
Yeah.
It just dropped to the floor and everything just went complete to trash. Now they have MAPS parades here. They fly that stupid flag every parade we have every year. I had to I recorded this and I had to delete it because it got struck on YouTube. I recorded across from where I go to work out all of these stinking, disgusting perverts flying their MAPS flags with children and have their kids wrapped in this MAPS flag. I have never wanted to reach over and touch someone so badly before. And I don't mean with open arms. I mean with closed fists. I have never wanted more. Look, a wood chipper would have been perfect at that opportunity. But you are out there and they're playing songs, these loud songs that not mainstream songs about pedophilia on loudspeakers.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And I could not I couldn't understand it and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And to this day, I'm baffled that it has reached to that point where I live. And it was a bastion. Yeah. It was a bastion. Yeah, hit me up, Thomas. My email is I'll bring up my email. You can even send it to our Savage Patriots email.
That's the way the world is now.
Right here. Just send the email. We'll chat because we have a local group here too that are prepping. So it's not like we're not doing anything, but we have to be very
speaking of which, I gotta get my go bag
smart
together.
about it. We have to be very smart about it here because there are plenty snitches around here.
You can pick up nice little nuke cards that tell you if you're exposed to radiation on Amazon. By the way, you should put that in your kit.
Nuke cards.
I ain't worried about it. Hey, if I live by, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. I'm not fighting. I'm not fighting the inevitable.
Yeah, if it is, it is.
It is. It is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
I don't live my life worrying about how.
However, if you come to my door trying to
Yeah,
pull some
I'm gonna
nonsense,
protect myself.
we gonna have some words.
I will protect
Yeah.
myself.
Okay.
But
I mean, it may
is
not
what
be
it is.
words, but we gonna have some words. Okay,
It ain't gonna be no words because I'm not asking no questions.
It will
Hey,
be
look,
an
At that time,
exchange.
when I
At
say
that-
we gonna have words, we will have words.
yeah, and it
Okay.
goes and
That's
it
the
starts
name of
with
my-
a
It starts with a P.
P-O-O-M or a
Or
P-E-W.
P-E-W. Yeah.
I need to get that on my
it's a word.
shotgun now. I'm gonna name it Words.
Yeah, words.
We're gonna have
That's really
words.
good. That's really good.
Is
But,
that a gun?
hey,
No,
you
no,
know,
no, that's a word.
At
That's
that
called
time,
Words. Yeah,
it'd be the Wild Wild West in America.
it's
so,
loaded
you
with
know,
letters.
It'd be the Wild Wild West in America. So maybe that'd be a good thing if we went back to that
Hey,
style of
Doc
handling
Holliday
business.
style, man. Doc Holliday style. I'm just saying. I like the idea of naming it words, though. We have
Yeah.
some words in the house.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
oh my
named Words, and it's packed full of letters.
Yeah, it's the
How many do
whole
you want?
alphabet.
5 to
The
your
whole
chest.
alphabet.
Right.
Center mass.
I want the American alphabet. I want the Jewish alphabet. I want the Muslim alphabet. It's
painted in rainbow colors too.
Actually, that'd be hilarious though if you had a 30-round mag and like 23 of them are nothing but like A through Z.
You know how you really freak somebody out? If they come in and try to do something to you, you put a blank in that first round, like, how? They'll be like, oh. And you
Surprise.
just play, and then you shoot another one, a live one next to them, like, boom. And they're like, oh my God. Then you put another blank in there. You just mess with their
Surprise,
head.
surprise.
Buckshot,
Yeah.
bird shot.
Yeah.
Dave
amazing,
Chappelle.
Yeah.
In any way, in any
buckshot.
case, people, really appreciate your time. If you know anybody in Washington State, send them this podcast. Make them aware of what's coming and what's happening locally and what will happen other way as well, because it's not just here. I'm guaranteeing you it's not just here. This is happening. Take a look out, see if it's happening in your hometown. If you live in especially if you live in a blue. If you live in a blue, I'm already sorry for you. But if you live in a blue, make sure you check and see how many things are happening around you that may have cronyism attached to it. We'll tell you about what's coming Friday when we decide on Friday. But other than that, we do have a podcast coming up on Saturday on Rumble, and we do have a special guest on that day, and she'll come and tell her story.
Oh, cool.
So look out for that. Mr. Lee?
So like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see y'all Friday. Peace out.
Peace.